Good afternoon to one and all. Our today's class is for class 10, absorption by roots. Now, under this topic, we will learn about absorption by roots. We will learn today active and passive transport. We will learn today tonicity. Under tonicity, we will see isotonic, hypertonic and hypotonic solution. Then we will learn plasmolysis, deplasmolysis, turgidity and flaccidity. And apart from that, we will also learn this flow chart, that how absorption of water and minerals are done by the roots. And then we will also learn today about the root pressure, and we will see the cohesive and adhesive force, how they are working for the plants, and how the water is very much means how the water will be doing with the cohesive and adhesive force in terms of movement of the minerals. Now, so let us start today's proceedings, and we will start from the active transport today. Now, what is active transport? The active transport means when the plant is doing any work, or any work is done in the expense of energy, in the terms of expense of energy. Let us talk about active transport in a depth way. So what the plants are doing, the plants are generally absorbing the minerals. Now, whenever we are talking that plants are absorbing the minerals, we need to know one thing first, that how the plants are doing it. So how the plants are doing it? Whenever there will be a mineral present in the root, inside the root, the minerals are present at a bulk. And outside the root, means in the soil, the minerals are present at a less quantity comparatively. Means when you will compare the presence of minerals in the roots, it is much more than the nearby soil in the roots. Now if the roots are following the process of osmosis and diffusion, which believes upon the definition that movement of the particles or movement of anything from higher concentration to the lower concentration, then all the mineral must go out from the roots to the soil. Now, if at all it is happening as such, then there will be no metabolism for plant, no proper hormonal control for the plant. Then how the plant will work? The plant will die. Here, what happens in terms of energy, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, in terms of that energy, the plant will start to absorb the mineral from its lower concentration, means from the soil to the root. Whatever the energy the plant will prepare, it will utilize the energy not only for its own metabolism, but also in absorbing the minerals, that is from the lower concentration of the mineral to its higher concentration. So in the expense of energy, the plant will just absorb the minerals from the lower concentration, that is from the soil to the roots. Now, in a better example, let's say you are swimming in a river. So if the flow of the river is east to west and you need to go to east to west, then you need not to expend any energy, just move with the flow of water. But when you need to move from west to east, that time you have to waste your energy, you have to spend your energy so that you could go opposite to the water current. So same thing has happened here. That is just an example I have said. Now, we will talk then about passive transport. Just a simple definition: movement of the solvent or movement of molecules from its higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Of course, how it happens? For example, let us take the example of osmosis, diffusion. They all are osmosis and diffusion. The both processes are actually the passive transport, where energy is not utilized. The example of passive transport is osmosis and diffusion, means movement of water. In the soil, the water is more. In the root, the water is less. So the root is moving from water is moving from the soil to the root. So water will move from the soil to the root. Why? Because the concentration of water is high in the soil and quite less in the root. So the movement will be from higher concentration to the lower concentration, either through diffusion or through osmosis. So passive transport means movement which does not require any energy. Now we will talk about tonicity. What is tonicity? In tonicity, whenever we are talking about tonicity means the concentration of one solution in compared to the other. Let's say you took a pure water in a glass. In that pure water, solvent is at maximum quantity, and another glass of water is having some 4 or 5 spoons of salt dissolved in it. Then which one is at higher concentration? Of course, the water which is having the content of the salt. Why? Because the solute is present there, and in the pure water, no such solute. So tonicity is just a definition, that comparison of the concentration of one solution with the other. What is the concentration of one solution in respect to the other? Now, what happens here, we have to also learn about in tonicity. One term is there that is known as osmolarity. What is osmolarity? Osmolarity means amount of solute concentration present in a particular solution. Amount of solute concentration present in a particular solution. That is known as osmolarity. Now, if at all we are talking about 2 glasses of water, in one glass 2 spoons of salt, in other glass 4 spoons of salt, then of course the second number of glass is having maximum concentration of solute. So that's osmolarity will be higher than the first glass. That is what about tonicity and osmolarity. So under tonicity, we will learn about isotonic, hypertonic and hypotonic. Now let us talk about isotonic first. So what is isotonic? Isotonic means a solution. Isotonic means a solution which is having same osmotic or osmolarity with that of the solution which is present in the either side. Means, let's say a solution present in a Thistle funnel. Thistle funnel is an experimental apparatus. So let's say 2 solutions are there. One solution is present in the Thistle funnel and the other solution is present in the beaker. And both the solution is separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Now, solution in the beaker and solution in the Thistle funnel is having same concentration of solute. So there is no concentration gradient. There is no concentration gradient. There will be no net movement of water or no net movement of any solvent or molecules, neither from a beaker to Thistle funnel nor from Thistle funnel to the beaker. There will be no net movement, and if there is any movement that is negligible, then both sides will share same amount of movement of the solvent or any molecules, because their osmolarity or concentration is same. So there is no gradient that which will allow the flow from beaker to the Thistle funnel or from Thistle funnel to the beaker. That is what the isotonic solution. Now, next we will see about hypertonic. In hypertonic solution, what happens? Let's say the beaker, the solution which is present in the beaker is having more solute and less solvent. I repeat, solution in the beaker is having more solute and less solvent. And the solution in the Thistle funnel now is having a higher amount of solvent and less solute. So where the solvent is more? Of course in the Thistle funnel. Now from where to where the water will move? The water will move from the Thistle funnel to the beaker, the solvent. Especially in case of hypertonic and hypotonic, only the solvent moves. In any cases of osmosis or diffusion, generally the movement of the solvent occurs. Solute is moving, but solute is moving not in all the cases, because solute particles are very much big, and semi-permeable membrane only satisfies and sustains the movement of solvent, not the solute. Never. So through semi-permeable membrane, only the solvent molecules can pass through. Solute are very much large in size, so they could not. And semi-permeable membrane means the membrane which is having very minute pores. Now, I hope you can understand till here. So in hypertonic, what happens? Outside the Thistle funnel, means in the beaker, the concentration of solute will be more and solvent will be less. Inside the Thistle funnel, I'm just giving an example. Inside the Thistle funnel, what happens? The solvent is more and solute is higher. So the solvent will move from the Thistle funnel to the beaker. Now, what is the definition of hypertonic? The hypertonic solution, the solution which is having more amount of solute and less amount of solvent. That is known as hypertonic solution. More amount of solute and less amount of solvent. In isotonic solution, what is isotonic solution? Solution which is having similar amount of solute and similar amount of solvent. Same, both are same, 50-50 ratio. But in hypertonic, more solute, less solvent. So where the solvent is less, the solvent can't move. So the solvent from the other side, if separated by a semi-permeable membrane, will come and join the solvent which is in the beaker. Now, let us know about hypotonic solution. What is hypotonic solution? Solution which is having more amount of solvent and less solute. Now let's say in the Thistle funnel, the solution is there where the solute is more and solvent is less. In the beaker, the solution is there where the solvent is more and solute is less. In the Thistle funnel, what happens? Solute more, solvent less. In the beaker, solvent is more and solute is less. So what will happen? The movement will take place from the beaker to the Thistle funnel. Means the solvent will move from its region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. But one thing we have to see here, the osmosis or the diffusion or any kind of process will occur only till the water potential is becoming equilibrium in both the sides. Water potential means the strength of water, that is the amount of water molecules. Now if the water molecules in the Thistle funnel is equal to the water molecule in the beaker, if they are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, then what will happen? There will be no further osmosis or diffusion taking place. Why? Of course osmosis only, because diffusion, it doesn't require any semi-permeable membrane. So what happens here, that whenever the movement of molecules will be taking place either from Thistle funnel to beaker or from beaker to the Thistle funnel in any cases of hypertonic or hypotonic solutions, then at that time only the movement will take place in such a way that both the sides, means in the Thistle funnel also and in the beaker also, the solution or the water molecule must be at the equilibrium. Means in neither side the water will be at the upper side. No. In the upper level, no. Both the sides, the water molecules will be at the same quantity. Till that time only osmosis or diffusion will be taking place. Till that time only osmosis or diffusion will be taking place, until and unless both the side, the solvent molecules are reaching at an equilibrium position. Once the equilibrium is attained, no further osmosis or diffusion will be taking place. So I hope you can understand this. Now, next is plasmolysis. Plasmolysis. What is plasmolysis? Plasmolysis is a process in which what happens whenever we are taking a cell and we are putting that cell, whenever we are taking a cell and we are putting that cell in an hypertonic solution. I repeat, in an hypertonic solution. Means the solution which is having more solute and less solvent. The water content of the cell means inside the cell, the water content will be coming out to the outside beaker. Means the cell will start to release the water by itself. And the protoplasm. What is protoplasm? Protoplasm is the combination of the nucleus and the cell organelles. We all know all the cell organelles floats on the cytoplasm except the nucleus, because nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by the help of the nucleoplasm. So what happens? Whole content of the cell, that is including nucleus and the cytoplasm and the cell organelles, whole content of the cell is called as protoplasm. This protoplasm is sharing the inner boundary with the cell membrane. Cell membrane and the protoplasm is sharing the inner boundary with each other. Now what happens whenever we are giving or putting a cell in the hypertonic solution, the protoplasm will shrink away from the cell membrane. Means inner boundary, protoplasm is sharing the inner boundary of the cell membrane. Now what happens, any cell is, when it is put on the in the hypertonic solution, what will happen? The whole protoplasm will shrink away from the inner boundary. It will no more be sharing the boundary. Why? Because the water content is dispersed out of the cell. Now, next thing. Now when the same cell after we put that cell in the hypertonic solution for a certain while and plasmolysis took place, the same cell when taken out and kept in the hypotonic solution, then deplasmolysis will occur. What happens in deplasmolysis? Now hypotonic solution means solute less, solvent more as compared to that of the cell. Now whole water from that hypotonic solution, solvent molecules will start to enter slowly in the cell. And once the cell which has been plasmolysed, now it will become deplasmolysed, because there will be a severe entry of the water molecule inside the cell. And what will happen? The whole cell will be deplasmolysed. Whole cell will be deplasmolysed means the protoplasm will again start to share its inner boundary with the cell membrane. It will again become distended and it will share its boundary with the cell membrane. This is what happening in plasmolysis and deplasmolysis. In plasmolysis, exosmosis because of hypertonic solution. In deplasmolysis, endosmosis because of hypotonic solution. Now, next is the turgidity. In turgidity, what happens? Turgidity means, now some people are having confusion between deplasmolysis and turgidity. But turgidity doesn't mean deplasmolysis. Both are completely different. Turgidity just means inflow of water due to endosmosis, which makes the cell a very much tight and a rigid condition. There is nothing to do with the protoplasm. I repeat, there is nothing to do with the protoplasm. No need to say anything about the protoplasm over here. Only the cell membrane, due to the inflow of the water, becomes very much tight, which gives a very much rigid look and which gives the cell membrane a proper shape as well as the cell a very much good and a definite shape. That is what turgidity. But turgidity takes place due to hypotonic solution, and that's the reason why the water molecule from outside will enter to the cell and thereby making the cell very much tight fit and turgid. Turgid means a tight fit condition. Why? Due to the inflow of the solvent molecules. Where the solvent molecule has inflow nicely? In the cell membrane. So what it did to the cell membrane? Cell membrane become definite in shape. Once the cell membrane is definite in shape, it will give us a cell a proper shape, a proper size. That is what. Now, turgidity is generally taking place in the hypotonic solution only. Only in hypotonic solution the turgidity will be taking place. Now, we'll be talking about the last point, flaccidity. Now here, most of the students, they are having a confusion between flaccidity and plasmolysis. So again, here I will say, please don't be confused. Please don't be confused. Flaccidity and plasmolysis both are different. In plasmolysis, what happens? The whole protoplasm shrinks away. But in flaccidity, nothing happens as such. Whenever we are putting any cell in an isotonic or in an hypertonic solution, first flaccidity will take place. What happens in flaccidity? Only the water which is holded by the cell will come out of the cell, and it will make the cell membrane a bit shrink. Nothing will happen to the protoplasm. Nothing will happen to the protoplasm in flaccidity. In flaccidity, nothing will happen to the protoplasm. Only the cell membrane will shrink away. Only the cell membrane will shrink a little bit. Now what happens once the cell membrane has shrink away? Only in animal cell I am talking. In plant cell, there is no cell in plant cell, of course, cell membrane is there, but with the cell wall. In plant cell also the cell membrane will shrink away. In animal cell also the cell membrane will shrink away. In animal cell there is no cell wall. In animal cell there is no cell wall, so cell membrane will shrink away and thereby the cell will look very smaller in size due to flaccid condition. Due to flaccid condition, the cell will look very much smaller in size. Since in animal cell there is no cell wall, so the animal cell will become much smaller as compared to that of the plant cell. Why? What is the reason behind? The reason is only one thing, because the plant cell do possess the cell wall. So I hope you can understand it. So flaccidity is having not at all any link up with the plasmolysis, because flaccidity will take place in both the solution, isotonic and hypertonic. Plasmolysis will only take place in the hypertonic solution, and turgidity will take place in the hypotonic solution. Deplasmolysis will also take place in the hypotonic solution. But main fact is plasmolysis and deplasmolysis is affecting the whole protoplasm, and turgidity and flaccidity is only affecting the cell membrane. Please do remember this point. Plasmolysis and deplasmolysis affecting the protoplasm, turgidity and flaccidity is only affecting the cell membrane. So I hope you can understand this. Now, next is absorption of water and minerals by plant. So this flowchart I have made it for you. How? Water from soil will go to the root here. First, water from the soil will go to the root here. Now, after moving to the root here, it will go to the epidermal cells. I repeat, epidermal cell here means epidermal cells of the roots only. Epidermal cells of the roots only. Don't confuse with the epidermal cells of the stems or something else. No. Epidermal cells of root will pass it to the xylem vessels of root. Xylem vessels of root will pass it to the xylem vessels of stems. Xylem vessel of stems will pass it to the xylem of branches. From there, it will go to the xylem of leaves. From the xylem of leaves, it will go to palisade and spongy parenchyma. Palisade is the top layer of the leaf, and spongy is the bottom layer of the leaf. Palisade is the top layer of the leaf. Palisade parenchyma is the top layer of the leaf, and spongy parenchyma is the bottom layer of the leaf. So what happens? It will go to the palisade and spongy parenchyma. Then from here it will go to the stomata. After that stomata, through the stomata, the transpiration will be taking place. So this is what is important. Why? Because in ICC, sometimes the question is asked, or in your school also you may be getting the questions like, let's say that they will jumble the word. They will jumble the word and they will ask you to arrange it in a logical sequence. They will jumble the words and they will ask you to arrange it in a logical sequence. That is the reason why the flow chart is necessary. Now, if the flow chart is clear, then very easily you can arrange the things. Now, this is what how the absorption of water and minerals by plant is taking place. Now, our next topic is root pressure. So, what is root pressure? What is the meaning of root pressure? Root pressure actually develops when there is a huge metabolic activity taking place in the plant. Of course, throughout the whole life, the plant will grow and plant needs the metabolic activity. Now, what is this metabolism or metabolic activity or metabolism? What is it? Metabolic activity or metabolism is defined as the amount of energy produced, the amount of energy utilized, the amount of food produced, the amount of food utilized. Means how the body is providing the energy and how the body is utilizing it. How the body is producing the food and how the body is utilizing it. That is known as the main definition of metabolism. So what happens once the metabolic activity will be taking place? Once the metabolic activity will be taking place in the plant, the more the metabolic activity is taking place, the more the solute concentration is increasing, because food and energy in plant both are considered as solutes. Now, once the solute concentration is increasing in terms of food or in terms of energy, so what happens here? Of course, once the solute concentration is increasing in the terms of food or in the terms of energy, the plant will try to absorb more and more water. Now, once more and more water is absorbed by the plants from the soil, it will abruptly increase the root pressure. And it is because of this root pressure that the water and the minerals is pushed up to the xylems of the stem. And once till the xylem of the stem, the water and the minerals is reached by the root pressure, then definitely through the xylems, the water and minerals will reach to the leaves where the process of photosynthesis, the preparation of food may take place. Now, anyone is asking how the root pressure is created. The first and foremost answer what we need to give is, it is due to the metabolic activities of the plant. Now, how it is happening? Now, when the metabolic activities started to increase in terms of energy or in terms of food, more and more water the plant will be required. And if the plant is in need of more and more water, then 100% it is sure that if the water is being needed by the plant is absorbing the water. Now each and every cell will become so tight due to the root pressure. Each and every cell will become so tight that automatically the transportation will be taking place from one cell to the other cell, and the movement will be taking place till the upmost part of the plants. I hope the root pressure is also clear over here. Now, next topic is cohesion and adhesion. What is cohesion? When similar molecule interact with each other, means same molecule of water interacting with each other, that is known as the cohesion. When different molecules interact with each other, that is known as adhesion. So example of cohesion, molecules of water, both the water molecules interacting with each other and forming a single molecule. Then of course it is a cohesion, it is an example of cohesion. What is adhesion? Means adhering. Adhering means holding up of the water molecule by the inner stem of the plant, by the inner roots of the plant. That means what it means? Inner stems and inner roots means internal part of root and internal part of the stem when it is holding up the water molecules. Both the surfaces are different. Stem surface also and root surface is also different, but the water molecule is adhered to it. So according to the definition, it is satisfying the definition, of course. What is the definition I said? Adhesive means interaction between different molecules. So what happens are the interaction between different surfaces. Water is having a different surface, of course. Then inner part of stem or inner part of root is also holding a different surface. So since both the surfaces are different, Both the surfaces are different, and then also the water molecule is sticking to the particular surface, that is known as adhesion. And what is cohesive or cohesion? When both the molecules interact with each other. When both the molecules, similar molecules, means molecule of water and water, or else molecule of any fluid with the similar molecule of the particular fluid, means droplet of a water or droplet of water interacting each other, droplet of a milk, droplet of other milk is interacting with each other. So that is similar surface interaction. That is cohesion. What is adhesion? Dissimilar surface interaction. The surface is not same. Inner part of stem, inner part of root is not same. Now you can see, you can do that you can in your day-to-day life also, you can see it. Take a piece of biscuit and just dip it in milk or tea. You can find, see it, observe it very minutely. You can see very slowly the biscuit color is become faded. Why? You can find that milk or tea, wherever you have dipped the biscuit, no, slowly that level is rising. Why? Because of capillarity action and because of cohesion force. So plants, due to the help of cohesion and adhesion, absorbs the water molecule, and along with it, it is also absorbing the ascent of sap, means it is also absorbing the sap. So if the sap is absorbed, and if the sap is moving from one part to the other part, if the sap is absorbed and if the sap is moving from one part to the other part, that is known as the ascent of sap. What is ascent? Means moving from bottom to the up. Moving from bottom to up is known as the ascent. From bottom to up, from lower part to the upper part it will go, that is known as ascent. And what is sap? Sap means mixture of water and minerals. So what happens when the mixture of water and minerals is moved from one part to the other part? It is also done by the cohesion and the adhesion. Because once the minerals are mixed with water, now it is no more only water, it is the sap. So now when the sap is moving, it is also a best example of adhesion. When the sap is moving through the inner parts of the roots and the stem, it will move through the different areas, and whenever it will go to the inner part of the roots or the stem, it will stick to it due to the process of adhesion only. So cohesion and adhesion, both the forces helps the plant, especially the plant. I said the word us, it is because of plant only. For the plant I have said this word, don't take it in another ways. So it is helping the plants so that the plant can absorb the water and minerals in a more proper way. So I hope you can understand this. Now, this ascent of sap is also a best example of adhesion and cohesion. So once the ascent of sap is done, means cohesion and adhesion of that for that plant is very much proper. So please go through the book, and if at all you are having any doubt, you can ask. Thanks a lot.